Hey, RetconRaider here. Today's video is dedicated to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible. With special thanks to Revenant, Alois, Anerdinwarpaint, Dragon Matrix 7, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Lima, Nathan Welch Jr., Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. As we tie up a few more loose ends around camp, and then finally get around to doing some actual crusading with the 5th Crusade. Now, obviously, first things first, we need to take care of these level ups, and I've actually taken care of most of them off-screen. As I stated last time around, the vast majority of our companions are already locked in, and I'm keeping them relatively basic, so there's no real point in burning screen time just going over the minutia of what I'm doing with them. We hit level 7, so everyone got their level 7 stuff. Skills were already set. Feats, for the most part, went towards outflank for our melee characters. And I do look forward to setting off some full-blown crit cascades. But aside from that, not really much to highlight. Oh, and I did hold off on making decisions for certain characters like So-So and Nenio because I haven't actually decided what I want to do with them just yet. But because they're not part of our main party loadout, I'm not too concerned about that right now. It's not really a high priority thing. I'll figure it out. As for Vex, he is, of course, taking his 4th and final level of Knife Master, which nets him a number of very nice perks. A free feat, Debilitating Strike, and Uncanny Dodge, all of which will help prop him up a bit. Though, from here on out, we'll just be focusing on Hunter. Ultimately, we're aiming for Knife Master 4 and Hunter 16. I mean, we could do more dips and continue stacking bonuses. There are a lot of possibilities there. As aforementioned, though, I do like to generally keep things relatively simple. So I think a 4-level dip is about as much as I'm comfortable with. Skills are a bit weird, because we do end up with 1 floating point from our final level of Knife Master. Enough to get a new skill going, but not much more than that. And I'm thinking we'll dump it into Stealth. Not exactly a high priority, but we've already taken all the more important skills for Vex. I may still change that, though. There are some benefits to world info, if just for the trickster stuff. Feats are much more straightforward. While I would like to take Accomplished Sneak Attacker, that one's probably going to wait till 9 or 11. Because right now we need to offset the new accuracy penalties we'll be taking from 2-weapon fighting. Yeah. Which will eventually self-correct once we pick up mythical 2-weapon fighting, but that's not going to be it for a while. As for our bonus feat that we pull from Knife Master, that, of course, will be 2-weapon fighting. I figured it was about time we got that going. There are, of course, other things here that I would also like to pick up, but that'll have to wait until later levels. I mean, we're not even halfway to max level, so we still have plenty of wiggle room. Yeah, I think that looks good. And as always, feel free to leave feedback in the comments below. Looks like Kaz's level up hasn't triggered properly, but that's fine. That's just a bug with the Boon Companion implementation. It should pop once we enter a new map. I believe he's getting Weapon Focus Bite this level. Now we'll just swap in Finian as our offhand Kukri. My original plan was to use that Cold Iron Masterwork Kukri we've been toting around for a while, but that was before I remembered that no one is currently wielding Finian. So we might as well put the poor guy to work. And then the hand-me-down +1 buckler goes to Cam. I'm sure she appreciates the charity. What's that you said, Cam? Something ungrateful and horrible? Yeah, that sounds about right. She's a sweetheart. Anyway, let's go tie up those last few loose ends. Starting with Anevia, who it turns out has been moved to her personal tent. That must have been in a recent content patch because That is not where I remember her being. Look who it is. Hi. Anevia. You know, now that we're actually working together long-term, it occurs to me we've never really spent much time getting to know each other. She shrugs with a lazy smile. I'd be happy to, but there's kind of nothing to tell. What's so interesting about me? Well, for one thing, I just found out you've apparently got some sort of medical issue. Irabeth sold her family's sword to get you treatment? It was no big deal. I just sat out in the cold too long and caught a chill. I appreciate the concern and all, but don't worry. I'm healthy as a horse now. Sure, but, as the commander, I feel like I should know if my spy master has any major issues. You don't seem to be getting the message. I don't want to talk about it. Not now, anyway. Ask me again in a year. Or 10. All right, fair enough. Can you at least tell me where you're from? Nowhere. I was blown in by the wind and found in a cabbage patch. She stops short. Sorry, that's an old habit of mine. I don't like blabbing about my past. But you saved my skin, so I guess I kind of owe it to you not to clown around, right? I'm from Nidal, and I wouldn't wish my homeland on my worst enemy. You've heard of the place, I'm sure. Ruled by monsters that aren't alive or dead, and the official religion is the cult of Zon Kuthan. I grew up in a slum, like a weed between the cobblestones. I didn't have a dad, but I had lots of aunts and uncles, my mom's cronies. No prize for guessing the kind of business she was involved in. They gave me a set of lockpicks as soon as I could hold a spoon. And while other kids were picking their noses, I was picking pockets. When I was 12, the monks of the Silent Shroud came for us. Creepy guys with their mouths sewn shut. They're the guards in Nizrak. Mom gave me to her friends, and we hid in a secret temple of Desna. I never saw my mom again. I laid low in the temple for the next few years, kept my head down. I washed floors, fetched water, listened to sermons. Funny thing, after a while I started liking Desna's teachings. But as soon as I was old enough, I was out of there. I left Nidal and got as far away as I could. This is quite a motley crew we've assembled, isn't it? Not what I think most folks would imagine for a just and righteous cause like this one. You got that right. Only the best for you. What do you do if the knights and nobles fail to save the world? The lowlives are our only hope. Yep, sounds about right. So, how'd you hook up with Irabeth? I was bumming around Timon a while back, doing this and that. Desna Temple sometimes gave me odd jobs. You know, sometimes they need people with skills like mine. On the surface, it was fine, I guess. After Nidal, the freedom of River Kingdom should have seemed like heaven. My chance to sit back and enjoy life. But I wasn't happy. There just wasn't any joy in my new life. I was all alone. No one cared about me, and I didn't care about anybody else either. I struggled to find a reason to drag myself out of bed every morning. Tying a stone around my neck and jumping into the nearest river started to look pretty appealing. One day I was hired to follow some fellows who the local authorities suspected were Razmiran spies. I was stupid, I made a rookie mistake, and they caught me. It's like my body had already decided to do what my mind had been fighting, to finally put me out of my misery. Get someone else to kill me, since I didn't have the guts to do it myself. They grabbed me. I thought they'd gut me on the spot, but instead they hogtied me and dragged me off. And, just like an animal going to slaughter, my only thought was, let's get this over with. They brought me to their stinking cave, threw me on their altar, and I realized who it was. Kuthites from Nidal. They'd tracked me down after all those years. But I didn't care anymore. Wouldn't even have cared if they'd eaten me or whatever. We all gotta go sometime, right? So I was lying there staring at those knives pointed at me when fate rolled the dice. And I hit the jackpot. Irabeth. There she was, storming into the cave. Picture it. I'm lying on the altar with all these knife-wielding maniacs around me, and suddenly Irabeth storms in. I thought it was Iomedae herself. Fierce in her shining armor with her gleaming sword raised. She made quick work of those scumbags, chopped them up just like that. I didn't even have time to blink. She untied me, and then... Anevia's face lights up as she chuckles. She looked through the papers they had on the table, and she started swearing like a sailor. So much for Iomedae. That is quite a story. So how'd you two end up in Canabris? Well, after almost becoming a human sacrifice, I knew I never wanted to leave Irabeth's side. Desna knows I fell for her instantly, and I fell hard. My misery was gone. And when Irabeth showed me what was in those papers, proof that the cultist had a nest in her home city, well, I offered to help without a second thought. Anevia smiles warmly. She must have figured I couldn't wait to get my revenge on the cultists, but I didn't give a damn about them. It was her. I'd go anywhere with her, even on a crusade or into the jaws of a dragon. But I took to life in Canabris like a duck to water. I used to be an outcast wherever I went, but half of the crusaders are the same. After all, who'd volunteer to tangle with demons on the edge of the abyss? You must be either a goody two-shoes with too much honor and free time, or a misfit with no life out in the normal world with normal people. People come here to run away from their debts, their pasts, from themselves. So I fit right in. So what's it like living with someone like Tirabade? You two are so different. It's like living. Without her, I wouldn't be. Seriously, if I were alone, I'd definitely be gone by now. Sure, sometimes we argue, can't deny that. Sometimes we bang our fists on the table and yell so loud that the walls shake. But that's all about order business. But at home, well, I'll give you an example. I've kind of always wanted to move out of that broom closet we call a house and into somewhere cozier. It ain't like they take a vow of poverty at the Eagle Watch. But every month, somehow most of our spare money is spent on crusade business. Sure, I get mad about it, but Anevia makes a helpless gesture. It's part of why I love her so much. You know, Irabeth has that thing that matters most for a person, a purpose in life. She's always got a reason for whatever she's doing. Her whole life is a crusade. And I just drifted around like a leaf in the wind, until Desna brought us together. Now she's the meaning of my life. So it really makes no difference if we live in a mansion or under a bush. All right, Anevia. Thanks for the answers. The ones you were willing to provide, anyway. Though you are our spy master, so I guess that just comes with the territory. Thanks. Thanks for asking. Telling you all this kind of made me feel better. Well, I am glad. See you around, Nevi. All right, you watch yourself now. Always do. Sometimes more effectively than others. Okay, let's go track down So-So. I believe we've got a brief follow-up with him as well. Leoder. Trying to remember if there's anything else we need to do. But I think this is it. Good afternoon, Commander. How can I help you? Oh, well, Social, I thought you would have something to say to me, but apparently you do not. So I will be on my way. And with that, I think we're done with our current round of camp chatter. Leoder. Let's go catch some Z's, refresh our fatigue and our spell slots, and then we'll head out. One thing I do need to do is briefly swap in Nenio. She and Waljif are essentially glorified pen pals right now, trading each other spells as they gain levels.
You are so gentle, so fragile. It pains me to see you in the carnage of battle.
Yes, all this blood and pain is difficult to endure, but I'm willing to bear it for the sake of my friends.
Oh, Cam, so selfless and noble. Truly, she is the paragon of virtue we should all aspire to be. Let's get that new scroll scribed. There we go. And it turns out we do, in fact, have one more loose end. Howdy, Kaylessa. A wounded elf, huh? Well, there were a lot of wounded in Canabras. Who wounded him? In what way? Anevia appears relaxed, even nonchalant, but her eyes gleam attentively, and her hands, as if by coincidence, are resting on her belt next to her weapons.
How should I know? It must have been demons. If the wound was serious, I doubt he fully recovered from it. Maybe if you could point me toward a healer, I could...
The woman, wrapped in rags all the way up to her eyes, turns around at the sound of your footsteps.
Damn it!
In a lightning-fast motion, Anevia knocks something from the woman's hands, an amulet that seemingly appeared out of nowhere. It falls to the ground and disappears in a flash of magic. What's the rush, sweetheart? Stay a while. The commander and me, we've got some questions for you, too. Anevia, who's your friend? Looks like a spy to me. Not my first time seeing her in the camp. Just snoops around, asking the soldiers this and that. And if you try to tail her, she just darts behind a tent, and then she's nowhere to be seen. I've been hanging around here for hours, looking all bored, waiting for her to bite. And she did, started asking her questions, and then you came by, right on cue. With an unnerving smile, Anevia stares the woman, who maintains her grim silence, straight in the eye. All right, we're gonna make you taut now, darling. Who do you work for? Well, what did she actually ask about, Anevia? She's looking for some elf, tall, not from Mendev, got wounded in Canabras. No idea who it might be. Don't have anyone like that in the ranks. Anevia maintains an impenetrable expression. Nah, Anevia knows exactly who she's asking about. She just doesn't want to reveal anything. So how about it? You about ready to have a chat? You hear a heavy sigh come from under the shawl.
Fine, you've got me. We'll talk. But not here. Lead me somewhere away from prying eyes.
She's all yours, Commander. I caught her, I handed her over, and now, as they say, I wash my hands of this whole affair. Anevia, that feels like a very irresponsible thing for our spy master to do, but... Sure, you do. You do you. Well, here we are, having a one-on-one discussion with a known spy and potential assassin. This does seem smart. In fact, we're not just outside my personal tent now, we're completely outside the camp.
So what do you want from me, soldier?
In an exasperated gesture, she rips the half-mask off her face, and you see her black skin and crimson eyes. It's Kaylessa, the elf you met back in Canabras. What? No. I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Well, not that shocked. So, why exactly have you been following me around?
To find someone. Kaylessa lets out a resigned huff. His masters want me dead, which means I will die sooner or later. After a pause, she narrows her eyes and spits out. But that doesn't mean I'll lie down and accept my fate. I am no lamb to the slaughter, and I won't be waiting for a kindly executioner to come for me, knife in hand. Never again.
So are you trying to tell me you're not a spy? Her scarlet eyes flash defiantly, and she mutters through her teeth.
I'm not going to hide it. I have come here to commit a violent and bloody act. But I do not serve the demons, and I won't do you or your forces any harm.
Yeah, I'm gonna need slightly more than that.
Why?
Frowning skeptically, she gives you an appraising look.
And what will you do with my story? Take it into account and pass your judgment? Kill me if you deem me a reprobate? help the poor girl if you don't? Well, I haven't asked for your help, and your authority to judge me seems rather dubious. Yeah, well, I see it differently. I'm the commander of the army you keep infiltrating, and I could also easily stab you and feed you to my cat. She's clearly lying to you, but it doesn't feel like the guile of someone plotting a crime. There is a slight hounded look to her eyes that makes her seem more like prey than hunter. Oh man, she is not making this easy. So what would Vex do? I mean, he's violent, but I don't think he would just execute someone for suspicious behavior. Look. I'll drop it for now, but we are going to have to come back to this eventually. You're walking a fine line, Kaylessa. She shrugs casually, as if her fate had not been hanging in the balance just a moment ago. How nice of you, soldier. Yeah, how about maybe addressing me with slightly more respect? I am the guy who just decided not to execute you for your blatant skullduggery. She shrugs. Everyone's a soldier in a war, generals and privates alike. I look at you and I see someone whose life is war, and only war. That makes you a soldier. Yeah, not even close. I'm more of a murder hobo. Yeah, well, I look at you and I see Kaylessa, a cultist of Discari. That's a lie. Her crimson eyes flash, and she says firmly, I loathe demons, and I'll kill any I come across. Oh yeah? She's clearly holding something back, but she doesn't appear to be lying either. Whatever it is she's hiding, her claim that she hates demons sounds quite convincing. You know, this would be a whole lot easier for both of us if you'd stop holding back. And what am I supposed to do? Pour my heart out? She looks at you defiantly. You have your war, soldier. I have mine. You're fighting chaos and madness, and I'm fighting lies and hypocrisy. But we are both willing to die for our cause, aren't we? Not even close. I am absolutely not willing to die for this. But why would Forn lie about you? Kaylessa's grim expression hardens further, as bleak and unflinching as the words on a tombstone. You're asking questions that are dangerous in and of themselves. I urge you to stop. The more you know about me, the higher the chance that a traitor's dagger will find its way into your back. Alright, look, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for now, but let's not push our luck, shall we? Forn still entrenched himself in my army, so you need to be somewhere that's not here. With a crooked smirk, Kaylessa says grimly, He's the one who should watch out for me. I'm sure we'll end up regretting that, but I am curious to see where it goes. It's funny, back in the older builds, when you talked with her, you would do it right over there. Right within earshot of like 20 people. Anyway, let's go have a quick follow-up with Forn, see what his deal is, and then I think we're just about ready to go. Leoder? The elf before you casually rests his bandaged arm on the weapon at his side. He bows his head with dignity. I congratulate you on your new rank, Commander. My hunt demanded that I travel with your army. Naturally, I wouldn't burden your forces with the need to care for an outsider. I provided myself with all the necessities. Cool. So, look, I found Kaylessa lurking around. I don't suppose you have any thoughts on that? Only that you should be on the lookout for her accomplices. Her demonic masters must have sent her to plot against you. And since she's already made her way into the camp, she will strike soon. I hope you weren't as merciful with her this time. Yeah, I let her go.
I'm not really interested in whatever personal beef you two have going on. She's not a threat to me. A resigned sigh bursts from his lips. Then she has deceived you once more. Yeah, she certainly tried, but she's not the only one. See you around, Forn. I still don't like that guy. Though, I mean, Vex would definitely have more reason to chafe at someone like Forn than Creed did. Anyway, let's hit the pause button real quick. I'll take care of some off-screen bookkeeping. We've got like 50 assorted shields and scimitars to offload. And then I think we're good to go. We'll be right back. And we're back, about 6,000 gold richer, and officially ready to begin our push up the West Salin River. It's about time we got our first solid foothold inside the Worldwound. Just real quick, I will note that those reinforcements we ordered through Erebeth have already arrived, and they bumped us from a rank 2 army all the way up to a rank 4, so that was 7,000 gold well spent. That should be more than sufficient to steamroll the first several armies in our way. I figure we'll focus on clearing a path all the way up to that first fortress. That should set the stage for the next main story events. And then, if we have time, we'll mop up some stragglers. Primitive altar. Oh yeah, this is nothing. We could have beat these guys with our starting army. This is pure tutorial fodder. And we're done. Having defeated a band of cultists who had driven the captives from Canabris and made the ruins of Valis' gift their temporary base, the commander's army celebrates its first triumph. Unfortunately, the demon worshippers had killed all the citizens and gathered their belongings into a huge pile in the middle of the camp. Well, that is very sad. But on the bright side, we will use these resources to avenge their sacrifice. Or something to that effect. We'll hold off on that branch. We're almost out of movement points. Nice. Wasn't sure we'd actually make that. And we've got our first demons on the field, but still nothing to worry about. And now it's really just mopping. Again, purely tutorial fodder. Let's burn some spell points. Nice. I mean, we didn't really need that, but we'll be recovering those spell points at the end of the day cycle anyway, so no reason not to. Crusaders stumbled upon a group of ragged and exhausted scouts. They had set out on a patrol mission deep into the Worldwound, but then when Canabris was attacked, they found themselves cut off and surrounded by demons. Surviving in such hostile conditions was not easy, but the scouts' spirits remained high, and they readily joined the commander's forces. Nice. Having defeated the enemy, the Crusaders scatter across the battlefield in search of trophies. The officers keep an eye on the process so that all the valuable trophies go to the treasury,
and do not end up in the pockets of lucky soldiers. Oh, let the guys have some fun. Might as well enjoy it now before we start getting mass casualties. We also pulled a small group of rangers, which is nice. They're essentially upgraded archers, much more capable, especially when it comes to defending themselves in melee combat. But sadly, we don't have room for them right now. We'll just have them chill out until we can get the first rank of Masters of Maneuvers, I think. That'll give us an extra slot in our army. Now we need to advance the clock past midnight. There we go. That resets our movement points and restores a small amount of spell points, which should be adequate to get us all the way out to Chili Creek. Might as well knock out this fortress while we're here. Slightly larger numbers, and they have their own general this time. Good for them. Let's go ahead and burn down those fighters. Slightly more durable than I expected. Though, I mean, our general is just level 1. We've got to keep these guys off our archers. Lovely. Yeah, we should have just about restored our morale by now. A squad of Crusaders was caught in a sudden storm from the west. It lasted only a few minutes, but the unnatural lightning made up of electricity, flames, acid, and ice left several soldiers dead. The ease with which the forces of nature brutally claimed the lives of their comrades has demoralized the Crusaders. Well, that's the opposite of what I assumed was going on. Of course, I assume that is once again just part of the tutorial, because I do notice there are no actual casualties recorded. A Crusader unit advancing north encountered a cultist band and eliminated it. The Servants of the Abyss had been transporting prisoners of war to Dresden, the remains of the garrison from Villareth Ford, which had been captured by the demons. Exhausted and wounded, the warriors adamantly refused to depart for the relative safety of Canabris, and instead asked to join the commander's forces. Maybe that is their excuse for why we didn't suffer casualties despite that tutorial event telling us we did. The outpost at Villareth Ford, which straddles the West Salin crossing and is of strategic importance, has been taken. Very nice. Looks like that moves our camp up the river, and also nets us our first level up for our general. Though none of these options look all that great. I suppose we'll grab Bless. That's a nice general buff. Alright, let's double back and clear the path to Chili Creek. And then next we'll head for that other branch. Archers. Never mind, must have just been the wind.
Hold. Oh, shoot. Failed a morale check. Let's block them off from the archers. The Crusaders duly punished a group of mercenaries who had become enticed by demonic gold and turned their blades against their former allies. Those who reject the blessings of the benevolent gods and succumb to the temptation of sin deserve death, and death they got. Justice has been served, and the clerics feel that the gods are satisfied with this outcome. And there's our first energy income. Useless to us right now, but that will come in handy later. And we're sitting at negative 14 on morale. That is less than ideal. But we'll manage. We should be fine in about 4 or 5 days. Archers. Oh. Well, I don't like that. And I definitely don't like that. Yeah, let's go heavy. Not too shabby. The traitors who defected to the enemy's side at Canabris are dead. Nerosian expresses its deepest gratitude to the commander. Fantastic. Income upgrades are always welcome. And level up, which we will immediately put into Masters of Maneuvers. That'll let us tag in those Rangers. Let's go ahead and bring them up. We will need to be careful with those guys, at least until we can start bulking up that stack size. Yeah, I think we can do that. Oh, yeah, we've got this. Lovely. After pacifying the elementals, the soldiers found the remains of a cultist sorcerer in the middle of a broken summoning circle. Despite his apparently outstanding magical power, he was unable to control the raging spirits he had brought into existence. His stiff fingers were still clenching the horrendous flail he used as a weapon. Tyranny of Mind. +2 heavy flail, can only be used by non-good. On hit, target must pass a will save DC 13, or become dominated for 1 round. Which would be nice if we were running an evil party, which sadly we are not. You know, mostly. A shame we don't have our good buddy Harem around. This would be perfect for him. Time to reset the day cycle again. Let's push up towards our new camp. Oh, shoot. Okay. Nope, I guess we're doing this instead. Oh, yeah, I know what this is. This is the follow-up to the Kaylessa and Forn situation. Let's toss up a full set of buffs, but I will approach this in character. One moment. And we're back. Now, as aforementioned, I have run this encounter before, so I know what's coming, but we'll abide by the skill rolls. Let the dice fall where they may. Through the mist, you see the flickering flames of a campfire. 3 figures wrapped in Crusader cloaks are huddled next to it. A stout, smiling dwarf, a brash, dark-haired halfling, and a delicate-looking woman who appears to be very young. The crackling campfire is driving away the bleak fog and promising warmth and rest for tired legs. Noticing you, the halfling's hand jerks towards his weapon, but then he relaxes. Hey, it's the commander himself. Don't just stand there, have a seat by the fire. It's a bit damp today, you might as well dry off at least. In an amicable gesture, he passes you a large mug that smells of freshly brewed tea. Thanks, I guess. Who are you? Frontline scouting party. Our senior sent us ahead to look for ambushes. We've been walking all day, so we're making a bivouac. Go ahead, help yourself to some tea. It's an honor for us to be sharing a campfire with the commander. Something in the way the halfling speaks sounds off. Senior instead of commanding officer. A bivouac instead of a more casual camp. Maybe he's just a new recruit. Yeah, I'd say that sounds reasonable. A broad smile blossoms on Sela's face. I never thought we'd run into such jovial company out here. I don't suppose you guys have anything stronger than tea in your canteens? Catching the halfling's conspiratorial look, she smiles even brighter. Rubbing his hands together, Waljev casts a hopeful look at the mug of tea, then at you. Chief, just so you know, walking away from campfires where folks give you free food, it's a sin in the eyes of the gods. I feel like that really depends on what's in the food, Waljev. It looks like these 3 have chosen their campsite wisely. You see no tracks and hear no signs of demons. It's the perfect place to rest and relax. It's quiet here, all right. It's the grave. I don't know why, but I don't like the feel of this place. It makes my scales stand on end. Waljev, you are the one who just failed that perception check. Well, we're here, so you might as well introduce yourselves. Proudly lifting his chin, which bears a white scar, the halfling says, I'm Sergeant Velm, the leader of this gang of daredevils. You can tell by Velm's appearance that he's a fighter. He sports a nose that's been broken more than once, well-fitted gear, a gutsy spark in the eyes. All the hallmarks of a feisty, courageous warrior. The dwarf grunts and grins. What would you call our heroic squad a gang, Velm? I am Tran, foot soldier, cook, quartermaster, and the mother hen of this lot, and the one who sets up the tent for Hasty, given that she doesn't even have the muscle to drive a stake into the ground. With a smirk, Tran glances at the woman, who immediately turns red in the face. The sweet and terribly young cleric opens her mouth to say something, but shuts it immediately, and blushes even more. Finally, she mutters sheepishly, "I'm Hasty. Pleased to... at your service, Commander." So you guys really aren't nervous, all the way out here in the Worldwound by yourselves? That's, impressive. The dwarf gives you a disapproving, sidelong glance. "You wound me, Commander. I've walked many roads. I know a good spot for a camp when I see one. Even if a whole column of cultists marched by, they wouldn't think of checking this place. In the meantime, we would watch quietly and count every last one." Thoroughly embarrassed, Hasty adopts a serious tone and comments in Tran's direction. "You and your boasting." Her two comrades greet her remark with a burst of laughter. "I suppose I could sit down for a bit. It's not like the Worldwound's going anywhere, right?" Dismounted. That's disadvantage number 1. "You bet we're offering." The halfling moves with such deftness that you barely notice the warm mug of tea that appears in your hands. The tea's fragrance is gorgeous. "What is this stuff? It smells great." "I can tell the commander knows more about cooking than some." Tran leans over to you and says weightily, "It's cat's holly. I bought it from a merchant from Absalom. Worth every coin though, eh?" Druids aren't always particularly imaginative when it comes to naming plants. Frog's grass, bear's moss, tiger sundew. Looks like there's a cat's holly as well. Man, we are not having much luck with these skill checks. But we are beholden to the results. Alright, bottoms up, I guess. From the very first sip, you feel sweet warmth spread throughout your body. The drink drives away the chill in your bones. Blessed silence, which every soldier knows to treasure, settles in your mind. Hasty stutters as her gaze drifts away. "Commander, if you don't mind, I could heal your wounds and maybe cast a fortifying spell?" "Hasty, when speaking to the commander, remember to breathe. You'll choke at this rate." Wow, nice to see you guys get along so well. Hasty, her face red, shoots Tran a furious look, and flashes him a surprisingly nasty expression. For a moment, her mouth appears as though it's filled with sharp teeth, and her blushing skin is nothing more than a layer of powder caked over lifeless gray skin underneath. But you blink, and the illusion is gone. "You said it, Commander. But I'd like to see the joker who put it in Tran's head that he could woo ladies like that. The fairer sex just love men with a good sense of humor, don't they, Tran?" Vilm's comment makes Tran blush in turn. "Well, we have seen a couple of odd things, but I don't feel like we're really justified in attacking these guys. And Vex isn't exactly disciplined enough to just walk away from their camp and get back to work, so I suppose we'll just see where this takes us." Hasty's magic expels the pain of the long walk from your legs, and your recent wounds cease to ache. Your chest expands freely, and your arms feel full of unyielding strength that could crush any obstacle. The warmth of the magic suffuses through your shoulders, envelops your throat, and wraps itself around you, softly but firmly. Its caress grows stronger and stronger, tighter and tighter, until you can't breathe. I hope that doesn't actually kill me. Your recently healed wounds reopen, soaking your clothes with blood. Poisonous foam bubbles in your stomach, and, retching painfully, you vomit up the vile liquid you've been given. The figures by the fire ripple and transform. 3 gray-haired and dark-skinned elves watch you with mocking sneers. Their twisted, grimacing faces look demonic. From the haze, more previously unseen shadows materialize. They are all just as loathsome and unsettling. The campfire emits a sickly, sweet, intoxicating smell, and in the squat kettle, you see slimy mushrooms swimming in a disgusting, boiling slurry. Who are you? The one who is pretending to be the halfling Vem makes a face, mimicking you in an obnoxious voice. Who are you? We are servants of Lord Discari, and you are the pitiful insect that got caught in our web. The elf who is masquerading as the cleric, Aesty, gives you a lecherous smile, enthusiastically dragging her tongue along the blade of her dagger. Did you like sweet little Aesty? Did you want to play with her in your tent? I mean, no, not really. You monsters! Ciela looks at those who appeared to be trusted allies a moment ago with open disgust. How did I not see you for what you are right from the start? Dumb paladin. You really think your ability to sense evil can't be fooled? Lady Anamora taught us long ago how to trick the likes of you. Enough. What do you want from us? Lady Anamora desires your head, and will gladly deliver it. The elf, whose voice as Tran was so convincing, lets out a repulsive snicker. Yeah, I don't think this is going to play out the way you apparently think it is. But I suppose you'll learn that the hard way. I love it when prey tries to fight back.
They will break against our resolve.
Yeah, see, there's your problem. If you're trying to kill someone, you should probably avoid letting them fight back. Alright, so we do have a fairly potent curse on Vex, but if there was any poison effect, it's been blocked by our mass delay. Plus, it appears that the rest of our party's just fine, so... yeah, I think these guys done effed up. Plus, we seem to have surprise for some reason. Though to be fair, I suppose they didn't exactly spring an ambush, so much as stand around taunting us for 5 minutes. Such is the hubris of villainy. Just can't resist that monologue. There goes Aesty. Poor gal. But I suppose that serves her right for pulling a crossbow at point-blank range. See, Tran had the good sense to pull a shield instead. I'm sure they're fine. That's Velm, thoroughly disarmed. Oh, hi there. Ember, would you mind taking care of that for us? Thank you, Ember. And there goes Tran. Yeah, they really didn't think this through.
You've crossed the wrong mongrel.
Man, I am disappointed. But that's fine. Ember's got it. Yeah, let's not do that, please. Thank you. I appreciate your cooperation.
Cover me, all right?
Ah, I see you have chosen death. Lan, come on, man.
The light will take you.
And thus it ends. Shockingly, the world's most poorly planned assassination attempt has not been successful. I mean, honestly, they really should have at least passed drinks around to the rest of the party before they sprung their ambush. Though I suppose even then the mass delay would have prevented it from taking, so... yeah, these guys were pretty much doomed from the get-go. Let's head up top, go loot those archers. Oh, hi. You missed the fight, but, yeah, I guess we can still do this. We've got more in stealth. Okay, I'm going slightly meta. No one within Bain range. Hello. Goodbye. I think we've got one more in stealth somewhere. Oh, there he is. I would have given them a slightly more sporting chance, but we're running long and my throat's acting up, so we do need to wrap this up. Let's go loot those last few bodies. And we'll poke around the edges real quick. Alright, folks, I feel like we're at a good stopping point here, so let's hit the pause button and I will do another quick lap around the map just to make sure we didn't miss anything. But we will pick up here next time, as we clear out those last couple of armies on the east side of the Salin, and then return to camp, where we should have a new story event waiting for us. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the official social media feeds, or the official store pages. And if you'd like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon. Links are in the description.
But I'm willing to bear it for the sake of my friends.